Thank you all for being here tonight in Hyde Park at the 7/7 Memorial on the 10th anniversary of the London bombings. We are here to pay our respects to the innocent victims of 2005 London bombings, where 4 Muslim terrorists detonated 4 bombs, 3 in quick succession, aboard London Underground trains, across the city, and later a 4th on a double-decker bus. 52 innocent civilians were murdered and over 700 more were injured in the worst terrorist attack on UK soil since 1988, where in Lockerbie a domestic aeroplane bound for America was destroyed with a bomb. The plane then crashed into a residential area. All 243 passengers, 16 crew and 11 people on the ground were murdered. It's now 10 years on from the 7/7 bombings and the UK government still has not got a grip on Islamic extremism. Muslims continue to be radicalised through satellite TV, the internet, prisons, schools, universities, madrasas, and of course extremist mosques. More recently, we've had ISIS-inspired terrorist atrocities in France and Tunisia, where 38 people were shot dead by a Muslim gunman. Utterly defenceless people, most of the victims were Britons. Tunisia is a country that borders Libya, a country that has ISIS militant groups who are waging a brutal war on the civilian population, trying to impose an Islamic caliphate. Yet the Foreign Office never thought to inform holidaymakers of the unstable situation in Tunisia and Libya. The corporate media have hidden the fact that the EU has recently signed the mobility partnership with the Tunisian government, despite it being a hotbed of Islamist ISIS groups who are diametrically opposed to our Western civilization. Britain is a signatory to the mobility partnership. Mobility, in case it hasn't dawned on you yet, is just another word for immigration. Why the cover-up by the corporate media? Don't we have a right to be informed on Britain's immigration policy? My strategy to counter the Islamist threat is stop immigration from Islamic countries, no Sharia law in Britain, no more demolishing our churches and turning them into mosques, expel hardline Muslim clerics like France has done, revoke citizenship of those Muslims who go to Syria and Iraq to engage in a brutal civil war, as they are doing in France and Australia. You are committing war crimes and genocide, and you therefore have no place in Britain. Close extremist mosques like they have done in Tunisia, deport these Muslim men who have held English children in sexual slavery, an abomination in the 21st century. There is no doubt about it, our own government is at war with us. They are the real enemy within. Thank you.
Good evening. I am here to pay tribute to victims and their families. We must send out our prayers, blessings and healings for the badly injured and wish them a full recovery from their life-changing injuries. 7/7 victims are bright lights, like a starlit sky. They will never fade. I still remember the dreadful carnage, both on tubes and buses, of twisted metal, smoke and shattered lives. General public needs to be vigilant, especially in crowded situations, and report anything to security services. In these difficult times, people from different backgrounds, belief systems, but similar values must stand together to combat this toxic extremism, threatening our way of life and freedoms. This evil cult is spreading like an evil cancer, but there is more of us than them, and that is important to remember that. There is a saying, we are the old people, we are the new people, but we are the same people. It is time to show zero tolerance towards hate preachers in this country, receiving huge welfare benefits while peddling their hate to our society and inciting individuals to violence against innocent people. What's wrong with our weak leaders? Why is this happening? As we know, there are many others working long hours for a very low minimum wage. Memorial sites should be protected. There's no place for rough sleepers to litter these places and use them as toilets. It is time for authorities to clamp down and respect and show victims respect on these sacred sites like these. The 7/7 victims will never be forgotten. We will pay our respects with candles, messages, peace, love and healing. Let us cast a circle around the sacred site. Let the circle burn bright. Thank you.
I am a true patriot, a real nationalist, and therefore I'm a patriot for all patrias and a nationalist for all nations. I therefore support the rights of all peoples to preserve their own culture, their own traditions and their own identity. I recognise the right of all peoples to self-determination, to their own nation. And I support these rights for all peoples, all nations, all cultures, all ethnic groups and all races, including my own, the white race. This is because I care about my people, and this is natural. It is in the nature of things. I care about my people, English people, British people, European people, white people. And I do not take kindly to our people being butchered by terrorists, whether on London streets or Tunisian beaches. Those who carry out such acts must be hunted down and receive their just deserts. An eye for an eye, says I. And yet, those of an inquisitive turn of mind will ask questions. Of Kipling's 6 honest serving men, the most important question, the eternal question, is why? Why? Why are we? Why are our people, the British people, why are we being targeted, shot and bombed? Why are we in constant danger? The politicians will not tell you why. The government will not tell you why. And the mass media will not tell you why. But I, here tonight, will tell you why. And I will also tell you why the powers that be daren't tell you the reason why. 3 words, my friends. The Zionist agenda. The Zionists, and some say the Jewish agenda, be that as it may. The Zionists can only rise to the top and rule if they can do so unobtrusively. And in an ethnically homogeneous state, they cannot do so. And so wherever they go, they create a multiracial, multicultural, mixed-up, liberalised mess where they can become unobtrusive and where they can rule without anyone realising. The Zionist agenda seeks to weaken every country in the world except for one. The Zionist agenda works nationally and internationally. It seeks to strengthen only one country, Israel, from which it hopes to rule the world. It weakens nations by encouraging immigration, permissiveness, perversion, liberalism, effeminacy, pacifism, and by dumbing the people down. It does so by destroying all that makes a people strong, by destroying their culture, by destroying their traditions, by destroying their religion, by destroying their ethnic homogeneity. And it seeks to make Israel strong by bombing, invading and undermining every country in the Middle East that could possibly pose a threat to Israel. And it uses its control over the West, the USA and Britain, to get us, to get Britons, to get Americans, to get Europeans to do its dirty work for it. It gets our armies to invade these countries. It gets our boys to die in foreign fields on its behalf. And as a consequence, as a result, our people, our tourists, our shoppers are being butchered, are being killed by enraged non-European peoples of different races, of different cultures, and of different religion, both abroad and in Europe and in Britain. They're being attacked in Europe and Britain by a fifth column brought here by the same Zionist agenda. You can blame the Muslims if you must, but ask yourself, who let the Muslims into the country in the first place? And who and what radicalised them both here and throughout the world? Non-Europeans, non-whites have no place really in Europe, in Britain, and shouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Zionists taking control of our country and letting them in. And likewise, Zionists have no place here either. A sane government would solve the issue of terrorism once and for all. It would repatriate honourably and gently and kindly all non-whites to from whence they came and to where they belong. And it would free Britain from Zionist international control. No more stupid foreign wars to make the world safe for Israel. No more immigrants, and no more puppet politicians serving the Zionist agenda. And no more terrorism. Punish the terrorists. Punish the treacherous politicians who should be punished in the way traitors have always been dealt with. There are trees and we have rope. We will not forget the victims. We will not forget the perpetrators and the criminals in our government. We will not forgive. We will never give up. We will never give in. And despite the odds, my friends, we will win. Thank you very much.
When Jesus was at Gethsemane, he was betrayed by Judas. He knew what Judas was going to do, but he didn't stop him. Now we know what happened to Judas. Judas went to that place, what they call Hades. Jesus did go to the cross. He suffered and died. He suffered and died for each one of us. But that was not the end of it. He rose again. He rose again from the dead. And I believe in the resurrection. And I'm sure most of those who are lying there believe in the resurrection. But those who did it, they thought they were doing something for Allah. Now, I know that God is love. God is light. God is peace. God is joy. But he's also a God of judgment and a God of justice. And I believe that those who did this perpetration, they were misguided. As they say, driven by an ideology. An ideology that comes from Islam. An ideology which is not of God, the God of our Lord Jesus Christ. And they will be judged. But we mustn't look to them. We must look to the cross. Because where the cross is, there is hope. And those who died in their faith will rise again. And those who committed this, they are being caught. They said they have foiled over 50 attempts in the last 10 years to do the same thing. But thankfully, they are being exposed. And yes, some get through at Tunisia. Some get through in Spain on that train. It only takes one. But they will be judged, they will be caught. And that's why I believe in a God of justice, because you know something? It doesn't end with death. Those who committed these things will face justice. Even though they're not here, these suicide bombers, they think they're in paradise. Hell mend them. But those who are the victims, they can cry out to a merciful God, a God who will hear them.
I'll just add there, that Judas betrayed Jesus, and our politicians betrayed our people. And Judas faced justice, and so in a little while will our politicians. Thank you very much.
After those words, there are very few words that need to be said. In fact, only two, and that is nationalists unite.
We will all now observe a minute's silence with our candles in this wind for all the victims of 7/7.